There's two boxes actually. One of them is called Curiosity Box, which is a box full of science that I have worked on that gets delivered to families. So kind of coming back to Caroline's point from earlier, if you want to get people into STEM, you kind of want to start doing that really early.
Yeah.
So this box is actually aimed at primary school children. This particular one is called Healthy Me, and it's got lots of experiments in about how your hand works. It's got edible poo in it, weed detective. So I'm going to leave that one here. Feel free to come and have a play with it later. You can have a look at it. But today I'm going to do some science in this box, which is currently very empty. But I'm going to use it to make a cloud, so it is basically a cloud factory. We just had a talk from SJ, who is an expert in her topic. I'm actually a biologist. I have a PhD in fruit fly testicles. So I know very little about clouds, being neither a meteorologist nor a physicist. So if there are complicated questions, I'm going to have to call a helpline. But I usually do this with 8-year-olds, so I'm just going to pretend that you are 8-year-olds. So
Special.
this particular demo I actually also do a lot with children with special needs because it's very tactile, so you can all get your hands in at some point as well if you would like that. So, going to make a cloud. Does anyone know what clouds are made of?
Cotton.
Cotton, yeah. Cotton candy. I like to think you can eat them when you can get them down. They're basically little tiny water droplets. And does anyone know why we see them as white?
Because we have cotton wool.
So the water droplets are kind of suspended and they refract light from the sun, obviously, and it goes in all sorts of directions. And because of the mixture, we see them as white in the sky, even though they're kind of made up of water and air, which are both see-through. So to see that in action, I've got some dry ice here, which is just kind of put my hair up because health and safety.
Should we move?
I've risked assessment. It's fine. It's fine.
You know it's real science when the hair's going on.
Goggles.
Goggles, yeah, this is actually why I'm wearing my glasses today. So I've got some dry ice here, which is about minus 70, minus 80, I think it's minus 78 degrees. It's basically very, very cold. You can actually already see it's moving a little bit. And that's because it does something called sublime. It's turning straight from the solid phase into the gas phase. So if you think of water, and if that's ice, it usually turns into liquid water and then water as a gas as we have it in the atmosphere. But dry ice actually goes straight from one into the other under normal pressure. So what I'm going to do is add some water to the dry ice, and what's going to happen is that this water is slightly warm. It's obviously a lot warmer than the minus 78 degrees, and what that does is it really accelerates that sublimation. So there's going to be a lot of gas created very, very quickly, hopefully, if this goes right. So as the gas is created, you can see it expanding, and that's because CO2, which dry ice is in the gas phase, is actually takes up a lot more space than CO2 in the solid phase does. Just going to add a little bit more to that. So it expands, and you can see it start coming out of the top. If you put your hands just above it.
Is this a safe part?
This is completely safe. Hence the lid. You can feel that it's actually still very, very cold.
And everyone looks like they're in a 1982 music video. Total eclipse of the
So it's still very, very cold, which means that the water that's inside there is in a liquid state, it's not gas. And the water that you can see right now is actually a mixture of the water that I poured in So the water is a mixture of the water that I poured into it, but also the water that's in the atmosphere already just above the box, because it gets cooled very, very rapidly. So it basically condensation forms, and that forms the cloud that you can see. But to show you that some of the water is actually the water that I poured in, I'm going to make a strawberry scented cloud. So if we just have a little bit more hot water, please. I think this is the cheapest strawberry squash that Denmark has to offer, so it might not go on SJ's list of favourites, but
Strawberry.
it will do the job.
Oh, blue cloud.
Curacao cloud.
Let's make a curacao cloud, friends.
Oh yes!
Ah.
We'll make two!
Yay!
I have not done this with blue curacao before, but there is a first time for everything. Just pour out the excess water.
I was told that I have to be accredited to.
Oh, Vin is still there.
Yeah, so you can't just get them for free, unfortunately. I don't know, I wanted to play with it, yeah. We wanted to make it sugar and wanted to play with it.
We are a.
For a second there, you feel like it was slipping.
Now, if you sniff the cloud,
Because why not?
You can sniff clouds.
Oh, I can smell it here.
It's a water pipe.
Sniff that cloud. Oh, chemistry wow! Chemistry wow! That's how they add my stuff in chemistry, no? Solvents.
How many carbons are there in this alcohol? Do I get a hit or not?
I have to replace it with a plastic. That's
it's actually slightly pink
Pink cloud.
from the top. We'll do a little one with blue curacao as well.
It smells amazing, me.
I feel like I'm inside a bubble gum.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably lots of E numbers. You'll be alright. So as you kind of could already see when you could smell the cloud over here when I was over there, this dissipates pretty quickly. And in real life, clouds are kind of confined or not confined by loads of different factors. I mean, there's the wind, which can either kind of blow it together or it can blow it apart almost. There's the temperature, so if you have a front of hot air and there's cold air over the top, you get these really sudden rains because all of a sudden all that water in the hot air condensates and then kind of comes out again as rain. Rain changes the shape of the cloud because obviously some of the cloud disappears because it's turned into liquid water. But they can also get trapped somewhere. So the most obvious example is if you have a mountain somewhere and you get the clouds that are kind of trapped against it, you get a lot more rainfall on that side of the mountain than you get on the other side. So to show you that, I'm going to make some bubbles. I might do that in here. Save a bit of blue curacao. Yet again more water. Thank you.
I've never thought about a cloud getting trapped before. I feel really sorry for it.
It's going to get trapped. You can liberate it. Actually, if you look in the back pocket of my backpack, there's a pencil. You can poke the cloud.
Yes!
Who's excited?
I've got tattoo sticks, we can burst it.
Oh yes, actually, that would
tattoo
work really
it.
well.
Let's tattoo the
Thank you
cloud.
so much. If anyone recognizes the tub, I did steal it, sorry.
What was this?
This is washing up liquids. So I am basically going to make giant bubble mixture and then trap cloud in it.
Because now it's Cloud. That's his name.
Proper nouns. Which is great. There's a star.
Washing up liquid is not going to make huge bubbles, but hopefully something's happening underneath here. Yes.
Do you need one?
So, if someone wants to come and stab the clouds, you can.
Go!
Stab the Cloud.
Katie, bring the knife.
There you go. That's a big one. Get that one.
Oh, what a joy.
Anyone else want to come up and stab a cloud?
Yeah, you just look and use your fingers.
You can use your fingers actually, yeah.
Oh, what a joy.
Oh,
What a joy.
life complete.
Like a small thing.
So if you look inside them, you can actually see bits of cloud moving. And then if you poke one, it comes out.
Oh, get the big one.
Get it!
Get it.
Oh.
It's coming in!
That one's quite new.
Netflix.
There's one here as well.
Game of Thrones. What? It was yesterday. New one next week. We have time. Cloud pop.
Cloud popping. Cloud popping today is the day.
That's what's smoking.
We are it. Oh, that was so exciting.
You don't get out much.
Shall we do a real experiment and do one with blue curacao and see what happens?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You saved
Pass
the
me
ice
blue
already.
curacao.
Don't attempt anything without the glasses. Looks like all my Danish dreams are coming true. If she stains your floor, it's not my fault.
I'll leave them here for extra cleaning work.
Oh, he's worried now.
I guess we can't invited it. So.
I need a receptacle and I've kind of run out of them, but
Receptacle.
Everything is harvest,
You're right.
don't worry.
that's in there. Some hot water without it, so please, thank you.
It's very blue.
Oh, there we go. Room temperature also works. It does have a different colour from above, actually. Is it blue? It is slightly blue. I reckon if you look at it. What?
Isn't I Admiral Blue?
If you look at it from above, it's slightly blue.
Yeah.
The other one was definitely slightly pink, and this one is slightly blue.
Doesn't smell nearly as good though.
Smells of hangover. Opinion is divided about the smell of the blue curacao cloud. It's actually turning slightly more blue because you can see the layer underneath now. Got a little bit left, dry ice left over. Any suggestions?
Eat it.
Probably a bad idea. It's not quite as bad as those liquid nitrogen cocktails that were very fashionable a while ago when some people had to have their stomachs, I don't know if you call it amputated if it's a stomach, but yeah, exactly. Some people lost their esophagus and their stomach because if you drink the liquid nitrogen while it's still liquid and it hasn't yet evaporated, it freezes, and it can freeze so rapidly, and even at 37ish degrees, that it kind of freezes solid inside the esophagus.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, kids. Don't do it, kids. You can use it to make really fast ice cream as well, but you just have to be really careful that it's fully evaporated before you consume it. Preferably under the supervision of someone who knows what they're doing. Any particular requests for a cloud you want to see again? Bubbles? More bubbles?
Will it make blue bubbles if there's bubbles and blue? Or no, it won't, because the gas wasn't that blue, was it? No.
I think the blue is not quite strong enough to make it very blue, but yes, it would do it. You probably shouldn't use green washing up liquid, because that might not help. Yeah, I'll make it into another strawberry cloud.
Do you find that the kids respond really well to this? Like, do they get the science behind it, or do they just enjoy the moment? What do you think the value is?
It depends a bit. So there's obviously, and it's always a bit of a discussion, right, isn't it, between how much of it is entertainment and how much of science communication is about science. And I think it can be both. Right, there has to be somewhat entertaining to get kids engaged in it. And I think it varies a lot because they do it a lot with quite big age ranges. So the younger kids will just kind of go like, "Oh, a cloud," whereas I think the older kids will get a lot more of the science behind it, and they'll ask questions. You can talk about sublimation and phase transitions and all of that stuff, because there's a lot you can draw into it. But especially kind of very young kids, or we do it a lot in special needs schools, where kids often can't really engage with science because they can't touch it, they're not allowed to do anything with it, because it's perceived to be dangerous, or there's expensive tools involved. So to actually be able to touch it and see what's going on and kind of feel what's going on is actually very beneficial. So it's really illustrated clearly. I'll leave this to do its thing. It will eventually just kind of turn into gas. Your cafe will not be harmed.
Yay! Any questions? Anyone?
Yes, technical question.
Yes. Okay.
If clouds look white because it reflects the sunlight, why would it turn grey or black in bad weather?
So if they get thicker, there's more refraction, and there's also more reflection of the earth underneath. So if there's less sunlight and kind of earth gets darker, you kind of get this kind of interplay between the two. Clouds often also are kind of dark at night. If you look up at night, they're often very kind of dark grey, even if they're not rain clouds. And rain clouds contain more water, so there's more.
Yeah.
Refraction going on.
Well done. I thought you said you weren't an expert. Cloud expert.
I did do a radio show about which is a whole philosophical gambit.
Cool, so one last beer o'clock, Lou o'clock, and then we're ready for Katie.